Hey everyone, it's your boy Marcus Norman of Gentleman Style Podcast Show. And today I have an incredible gentleman. This man has been doing this for over 15 plus years. He's been sharing insight, wisdom, and knowledge on how, and he's not on the run, but he is absolutely the IRS's not so favorite gentleman. This man, Mr. Kelby Smith, is coming to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage, and we're going to dive into what he has been doing and helping others do is how to pay zero taxes in 2025, how to legally outsmart the IRS, and we're going to talk about his other what he advocates for and what many others I'm finding out are following up on and doing as well is state sovereignty. So help me welcome to the stage this incredible man, Mr. Shelby, coming to the Gentleman Style Podcast stage.
What's up, brother? Thank you. I love this background. I love the music. It's you got a good little setup going on here. I got to copy some of this stuff.
Please do. It'd be an honor. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you.
You are incredible, sir. You are changing the absolute mindset. You are leading the charge. You and your company, your organization are leading the charge in how people think about taxes and IRS and state sovereignty. I want to start kind of in the beginning. When did you notice? When did it start for you that you had a mission and you were really good at this? Because your background is diverse, but you niche down now. You're still a real estate broker, but you also teach others how to attain state sovereignty and avoid taxes. And there's a huge world to this that I had no idea about. And
Nobody does.
When did it start off for you? When did it kick off? When was the passion that ignited?
17, 18 years ago, my world crushed. I had 120 loan officers on a floor. We were funding loans and licensed real estate broker, and I thought I was all that in a bag of chips, and God humbled me. And I think with all the banks closing and all the brokers going out of business, I just started getting into trying to find something to do, because literally there was no money to loan anymore. It was dry for about 6 months. So I started studying, and this guy named Don walks in my office. He worked for me, and I told him, dude, you need to get back to work and make some phone calls. And he got upset with me about not wanting to go to some seminar. And I went to this seminar. After he got upset with me, I was like, okay, calm down, I'll go, I'll check it out. I went to this seminar, and they said something that just really sounded unbelievable. And so I took what they said, and I went against what the law says, and it matched. And I thought to myself, okay, so hold on a sec. The United States is a corporation. I actually live in the United States of America. And I started finding out where you can find these things in the law, because it was very important to understand really what a United States citizen was versus what a citizen of the United States of America was. And then that got into tax, that got into just this landslide of information. And I said, okay, I got to do something about this, because I couldn't do loans anymore. I found out that loans were fraud, all of them. There really is no loan being made. I did a 9-hour chain of title video explaining exactly how they do it. And fraud after fraud after fraud. I just went, oh my God, help me. What am I going to do? I can't do loans. I feel like it's not right. And I started a ministry in 2012. We don't accept donations. We do accept contributions, which is different, and it's to pay for services that we offer. And so therefore, every brother is worthy of a wage. And we over the last 15 years have structured up what's known as a program called the Living in the Private program, whereby we set people up to be absolutely bulletproof in their business, in their family, in their home life, their actual home, their actual cars. You'll hear a lot of talk out there from people about what is, a lot of gurus about what is the correct direction to go. And then you got the FBI and the Secret Service and judges pushing back against this. And I'm like, why are they pushing back and calling them sovereign citizens? And I just want people to know that's not what we are. Our founders were state citizens. There wasn't a single founder that affixed his signature to the Declaration of Independence that was a U.S. citizen. The
They were
United
not.
States citizen was created under the 14th Amendment. It's a federal citizenship. Now, I'm not trying to do a shameless plug, but this book is a culmination of 10 years in the making. What does it mean to be an American on Amazon? We were number one in multiple categories on Amazon, bestseller. This book outlines all the case sites, meaning Supreme Court cases that say what I'm telling you is the absolute truth. And so we started testing everything about 15 years ago. I started doing applications with the Department of State through a passport as a state citizen with no social, no, saying I am not a United States citizen, saying I'm a citizen of California, and showing them the slaughterhouse cases, meaning those are actual Supreme Court cases defining state citizenship, and that you can be a state citizen and not a federal U.S. citizen. And we started testing it, and they kept pushing back, and then I figured a niche, and I started getting passports as state citizens. And so what happens is you make the offer, which is the application. It's known as a DS-11 form. And if you read our DS-11 form, you would say, absolutely, there's no way you're going to get a passport based on what you've written down here. And it's just completely the polar opposite. And so we go for and get what's known as a state citizenship passport. It doesn't look anything different. It's the same thing. You can travel to the same places in the world. You can use it as identification. And that is putting on 5 layers of Kevlar against the federal structure that wants to come after people. Because there's a big thing going on in this world right now. And, I love the fact that your channel is saying God and then family. And look, in the next 2 years, and I can show people this, in the next 2 years, I didn't say 20, they are going to institute the Muslim faith as the world order required citizenship. Within 2 years, they're going to institute the digital ID. Could be the mark. I'm not saying it is. To where if you do not have it, you will not be able to work. Within 2 years, 3 years max, they're going to go for an implantable chip. It's already discussed, created, and right now, this next month, not year, month, they're moving into a cashless society. You may see a period of time to which there is a massive shift. You may see all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the world to take your eyes off of really what's going on. But we are moving into the completion of the biblical world order. And what we offer is an absolute requirement by God to come out of her, my people, Revelations 18:4. And that structural system to where people are paying into the whore. Don't want to get into it, but I'll tell you right now, this nation, even under Donald Trump, doesn't matter if you like Donald Trump, don't like Donald Trump, he's, in my personal opinion, done a lot of good things, but at the same time, he's leading people to the slaughter. And I don't want to get into it with a lot of people because that would anger a lot of people. But it doesn't matter which administration. You could be a Dem, you could be a Republican. It doesn't matter. They are all leading people to the same conclusion. The only way to handle your life, your affairs, is to come out and as a state citizen is to be directly under God, where you are self-governed and to where you have the opportunity to operate freely. Second thing is we then deal with the IRS. Written in the IRS code is a revocation of election. Every CPA should know this. They don't. The manuals are 10 feet tall. To find out that after years of paying millions in taxes, that there is a revocation of election to get out of paying taxes. And all you have to do is follow a procedure. Blew my mind. This is not, again, fake, phony, sovereign citizen, wannabe free, but one leg in, one leg out, not knowing what to do. This is becoming a state citizen. This is doing a revocation of election, a notice of status, and a notice of removal of signature, meaning the authority to use my signature to create wealth within the system for them. And then we do a third thing. We deal with the Social Security Administration, voters, drivers. We don't get rid of the drivers. We deal with creating a foundation for every individual that comes into our path. The foundation under IRS code has no requirement to file a tax return at all. So everything that we do is an operation within the laws that are already created, and we prove it right here. And so this is an opportunity for people to now really ask questions. How does it apply to me being a W-2 employee? How does it apply to me owning a business? How does it apply to me owning real estate? And that's a whole nother ball of wax. People are doing real estate completely bass-ackwards. And I said that exactly right. Bass-ackwards, because they don't understand deeds. They don't understand what a title is. And that's one of the things that I explain to people, because I'm an expert at title. I'm an expert at deeds. And we fail for lack of knowledge. But I would love to share that info with you.
Absolutely. This is profound. This is necessary. Sir, this is your wheelhouse. I want to stick right here for one more minute with you. You say that we don't actually own our homes. And the average American thinking, I've paid off my house. I own my home. I don't owe the bank. This is my property, my land. I can do what I want with it. But that is not true according to research and the data that you provide in your book on your website. How? Like,
Yeah,
I don't own my house. I pay all the taxes.
No.
I've never missed a payment. I don't own my house.
No, but you can correct the record, Marcus, and that's something that we all fail for a lack of knowledge, and it's not your fault. You were steered wrong by a broker like me who didn't know any better at the time, so it wasn't his fault really either. We were being steered by, title and by escrow and by a lender and all these people. Just sign here, and it's not your fault. The bottom line is this: being in a private capital, and I still own a private capital company, and looking at deeds all the time, you start to understand that deeds have legal, lawful ramifications and terms. And there's elements, like 7 different elements of a deed that cause jurisdictional privilege to the United States corporation. Now, I know I just said a mouthful. Let me give you an example. There's a thing called vesting. That is the style to which you want to record in. There's tenants, joint tenants, tenants in common, all kinds of 10 different ways you can record in. Why are we recording as joint tenants? If I got a wife, why am I recording as tenants in common? That's one thing. Another question. When you use United States FRNs, Federal Reserve Notes, dollars, every transaction where dollars are used, The United States federal government is a party to that transaction, and they are one of now, instead of two parties, they're a third party, and they are over that transaction. So that's an issue because it causes jurisdictional privilege to the United States over that contract. Number three, so you are using US dollars, you're using the wrong vesting. You're buying air. Marcus, this is the most shameful thing. A legal description is air. Let me say it again. A legal description is air. Meets and bounds is land. So look at your deed. You are a renter that owns air that pays property taxes. Now here's the kicker. When you record in your name, they put it in all caps. Now this is something I can prove in law, so don't shake your head with what I'm about to say for that end user listening. Your name does not belong to you. And that blows the mind of people. But I can show you in about 5 minutes how the live born record was given by the mom to the state. The state put it on a birth certificate. One of the definitions of birth is abandonment certificate. Took the collateral, put it on a birth certificate, 32-pound watermark banknote paper, put it into the public without the father's signature or agreement on the birth certificate. Go look this up. Whereby in the signature area, there's 3 words: signature, parent, informant. Signature means one who can attest to the validity of the instrument. Parent means judicially decreed guardian. Informant means one who turns one over. Let me say it to you slower so that the contract fully manifests in the mother's minds what they've done with their children. Agreed to being a guardian, to turning the product over to the state in one line. The state puts it into the public without a father's signature on it. Nobody comes and makes a claim. The state now owns the product of the union. Not just that, but a marriage license. Listen, I can show you everything I'm talking about in the Supreme Court. Period. Hands down, I can prove what I'm saying. A marriage license between a man and a woman brings the state as a third party, and it was decreed by the Supreme Court that the product of the union belongs to the state. We fail for a lack of knowledge. Our pastors are pushing licenses. Our pastors are pushing us to do things a certain way. And unfortunately, God is saying, do it a different way. You don't need a state's permission to have a marriage covenant before God. And it's called matrimony. And I just got married, matrimony, outside of the state. I don't need their permission. Pastor, witnesses, made my own covenant. And you know what? This is enforceable in any law. And it's super important because it's way more valuable than a marriage license. And I'm keeping the state out of my affairs. So if you have your deeds done properly, you can own the land and own the property free and clear. But you want to put it in a foundation that you created that belongs to God, because everything on this earth is Yeshua's, Revelations 5. Everything that you put in a foundation can be passed through to your children's children, tax-free, probate-free, without changing the dollar amount of the taxation being done, to where your kids can even now request a removal from the county recorder from the tax element, because it is a foundation humanitarian church under God. And we are getting, look, I have them in here in this book, NFL retired Hall of Famers, multiple guys with 18,000 square foot houses that put their property into a foundation and fought the county recorder, and now they are not paying $42,000 a year in property taxes. You heard me correctly. There is a way around everything in this world. We are just not doing it right. And this is where we, as a ministry, are helping people become private under God, protecting those children, protecting what belongs to God, and keeping the sticky, filthy, disgusting fingers of this federal government out of our business, period.
This is incredible, and this is huge. This is mind blowing, right? And so you said something that I want to touch on. You said two things I want to touch on. Thank you for the example. If you can, you share an example of what we should be doing instead of turning over our names when we have a baby, turning over our names to the government. What should we be doing in place of turning of signing that birth certificate over to the state? What should we be doing in place
Yeah.
of that, if
And,
there's
and,
any?
and that's what really stinks, Marcus, because private is and can be such a beautiful thing. Like, you can go to a hospital and have a baby and say, look, I want to title my own child. I don't want a birth certificate. I don't want to contract with the state. And that should be a God-given unalienable right. And a lot of times it's doable. Sometimes, we tell people, and you may have a difference of opinion, and I'm okay with you feeling the way that you do. But we tell people, that little infant should not be shot up with a bunch of things that you don't know what's in, or what's in these shots.
Right.
Number one. Number two, you should not let that child out of the room, out of your custody. They should not be drawing blood. They should not be putting shots in. So you need to come to the hospital with a birthing plan, and you give it to the hospital and say, this is what we are expecting for the services. Because you're not, I'm paying you. You're not paying me to come and give you another child to hang with the state. But sometimes the second you say no to them doing what they normally do, and it's not a lot, but sometimes they have called child protective services. And what we do at that moment is we issue the hospital a snappy letter, and we let them know instantly they have screwed up. And it goes straight to the top. The doctor gets his hand smacked. The nurses get their hands smacked, because we have done nothing at all wrong. We have, just because a parent does not want you to inject their child, or a parent does not agree to a live born record of your kind, which is implying an agreement that they don't need to choose, does not mean you have the privilege to make a false claim of bad parenting or of child endangerment. And so we've never had anybody lose their kid, but we've had to deal with some of those circumstances. Now, the best way to do it is just have your kids at home. Now, I get it. Now,
I was just about to say that.
all the moms are going to be like, oh, hell no. Oh, no. Oh, I need my epidural, and I'm like, okay. And I would agree with that, because I've seen the pain in their eyes with 3 children myself. And I never had a kid at home. I didn't learn this before I had children. But I have seen, based on what we're doing, plenty of children born at home free. And I'm still able to get that child a passport as a state citizen without any birth certificate issued by the state, because it is their God-given unalienable right to be able to travel freely. And a part of that is a passport. So we do passports as children directly under God, state citizens. And if people knew what a state citizen was, it's the strongest thing we have here on earth. We're very blessed to be able to be born here in America with what we have That's a widely accepted practice of citizenship, meaning state citizenship. You can be a federal citizen, you can be a subclass citizen, but the 14th Amendment wasn't meant to free black people. It was meant to enslave everybody. And I can prove that in law. I can show people where the Supreme Court agrees that a 14th Amendment citizen does not have access to the Bill of Rights. Let me slow that down a little bit for you so you can really think about that. Only a state citizen is protected by the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So now we all wonder why we don't have jurisdictional protections as U.S. citizens in court, or why the Constitution doesn't apply to you. It's because you've given up your sovereignty under God to be a subclass citizen under the federal government. And that's just something a lot of people are starting to swallow and realize, because the Supreme Court is right here in this book saying what I just said.
Absolutely. The other thing, thank you for this. That is absolutely, and I am an advocate for having, we treat childbirth like a traumatic event when it's actually a beautiful thing. When you take a child to a hospital, that's a traumatic experience. Those doctors are trained for trauma and disaster and the worst horrific things imaginable. That's why they come in with all these equipments and plugs and like you said, injecting you with stuff, injecting the baby with stuff that you may not, if you had known what it was, you may not have consented to, and all these things. And and they're trained for trauma, but at home, in your own comfort, in your own space, it could be a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be this grand thing. Now, like you said, there are those instances where, you know, a specialist needs to be brought in. And so I can see what you're teaching and what you're educating others on is be independent, because with the money you're saving from taxes, you absolutely could. I hear the person screaming, I can't afford that. Well, if you didn't have to pay taxes, you could. If you didn't have, if you legally weren't obliged to pay taxes, you might have the money to do all the things that you're teaching and speaking to today. One of the things you said earlier on is you teach people and you advocate for others except the driver's license. Why should I keep my driver's license versus everything else? I could keep my house, I could keep my car, but why do I keep my driver's license?
You know, it with all due respect, especially people of color, you know, law enforcement is not being trained on this subject matter. They're being trained to the contrary, that there's this group of people called sovereign citizens. And I know a lot of people that drive without licenses, and they have their book and they have their plates and they have the MSO on their car. And those are people that have gone through a complete and total removal of themselves from the system, and they don't have problems. You know, cops will run their passport card and realize that they're, and look, I'm not going to suggest anything, but this is what I believe is going on, that they're in a position of do not detain, because they are being released and they get to move on about their day. And the cop says, go get your car registered, go get a license. And I don't want to see you driving around here anymore. And then we deal with that law enforcement officer very respectfully, and we don't cause any scenes or what have you. But the reality is, I can recontract the DMV. There's a process called an administrative process. Marcus, they steal our houses all over this nation using an administrative process. They're contracting with people in a series of letters. Then they do a notice of fault. Then they do a notice of default. Then they do a notice of sale. Then they hold the sale, and then they strip you off of title. And then they do an unlawful detainment, take you to court, and evict you. All of that to steal your house was done non-judicially. We've created the same process for the DMV, the IRS, the SSA, and the voting. Also, we deal with guns. We deal with all kinds of things that people don't really think through. And just the simple fact that you can take a gun and move it into private, that's a whole nother conversation. You can take a 80/20, buy it from any manufacturer and build the gun yourself. Now you have a private gun that you didn't have to go down and make an application and apply for. And you own a gun and you put it into your foundation, and now your foundation owns a gun. So you don't have any lawful requirement to report anything to anybody because you do not own it. And so regarding the DL, I just don't want to deal with law enforcement. I have a tendency to speed a little bit. I haven't been pulled over in 30 years. But it's because I'm not speeding through lights and doing stupid things. But, I got a fast car and I'm going to hit the straightaways and go and just have some fun. I'm not risking anybody's lives. But the bottom line is if I get pulled over, I just want to be able to hand the license, insurance, and registration over, take the ticket, call my homies because there are attorneys that are good for some things, not all things, but call my guys at 1-800-tickets or whatever it is and pay the 100-200 bucks and let them go and represent me in court. And next thing you know, it's kicked out. I did that twice. Got tickets where nothing happened. And the point is so being, knowing that, because we have a big group of Amish, a big group of all races, knowing that some races could have a tendency to be targeted more than others. Why? So we don't need to deal with the driver's license today. There is coming a day, Marcus, where they're going to say, in order for you to drive or have a driver's license, you need to have this shot, this digital ID, this, and this. So what we're training people on in private side of living is every element, like literally money is super critical. And I believe that there is a way right now, especially in the next couple of months, that people could 100x, 1000x their money. We are shifting from the fiat system into the digital system now. And I've been telling people for 7 years, and people that have followed my teachings on money have made 15,000% on their money, or 1,500%, 15 times X since I started talking about what to put money into, and show them how to be the bank, not through, these insurance. They're not scams. They're very, very good insurance policies for U.S. citizens. But if you're a state citizen, you don't need to worry about sheltering money. You just need to make sure your dollars are on something that you control and out of the banking system. And that's what we show people, is how to have private side, real money, real either gold and silver or crypto that is a party to the one world system, but control it where you have the absolute keys, not the keys being held by the company, not the keys being held by Amazon, the absolute keys where you're the vault. So when they do come at us with this, digital that, I'm going to dump the license. I'm going to have a driver, and anything I need to get done, I'm going to get done in the private, make private transactions. You need $1 million? Boom, I'm going to send it. And then I'm going to receive whatever I am purchasing automatically, just like the big bankers are going to be doing in the private in the future. And not one of them are going to have the shots or the digital ID or a party to the system. They're still going to be flying around the world, living on their yachts, doing what they do. We got to get our mindsets out of this realm. And it's not about making money. It's about being blessed for what God has taught us. Come out of her, my people. And if we do it right, we can set ourselves up and our family up forever in an estate. Just like you're watching, I watch it all the time on YouTube with all these castles and manors and, Scotland and England. I'm like, dang, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I love that, and their family's been there for 1,000 years. I'm like, oh my gosh,
You're doing it right.
they're doing it right.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing, I need cryptocurrency. I need a financial a financial digital currency. I need to stop using U.S. federal currency. I need gold and silver.
The United States dollar has depreciated 25% in the last 2.5 years. So anybody that has their money in a retirement account, whether it's an annuity, stock, a bond, you can say I earned 20%, 10% on the stock market. Well, you lost 25 over the last 2 years, which means you're about even.
All right.
I've gained money on crypto. I've doubled my money on gold and silver in the last several years. Gold is up $3,800 today. It's almost $4,000 right now. Silver, $47 last night. It's up almost 200% in the last year and a half. The point being, we teach that you have to hold lawful money. Take the hit with the IRS right now. Take the 20% penalty. Get your money out of dollars. This is financial advice. I don't need to be licensed to tell you to do something smart. You have lost 25% on your dollars in the last 2 years. You are not making enough on your yield to cover the loss of inflation. Get your money out of US dollars. Here's the coinage you need to buy now. XRP, XDC, XLM, HBAR, HBAR, IOTA. Do not buy Bitcoin. Those currencies I just named are ISO 2002 compliant currencies. The deal is already done. They are now opening up November 22nd the rails for every currency and every bank in the world to run on one of those coins. You're going to watch these coins go parabolic, 100x, 1000x over the next year, 2-3 years. So you put 10 grand in, you're going to get 10 million out. And that's safe. Listen to me. The thing of the future is going to be to try to steal your crypto. So this is why I say, look, you want to become a VIP member of hisadvocates.org. We go through all the security protocols, all the do not do's, what hard wallets to buy, because we can show you how to be the vault in your own home. And then the only way they can get that money from you is a gun and torturing your wife in front of you. I hate to say it. That is the only way, but you will have a shootout before they get into the house. I guarantee it. And, you know, I ain't going to let anybody take what belongs to God.
Absolutely.
I ain't going to let anybody hurt my wife for sure. But this makes you the vault. You don't rely on a bank anymore, and you'll be able to send crypto to anybody. Now, listen, just for the record, I was president of a company called Smart Card Corporation, 1996. I was vice president of National Automated Clearinghouse, Electronic Clearinghouse, excuse me. We were a spinoff of National Automated Clearinghouse. We sold our company for $6 million in 97. That company was the forefront and the leader on smart card technology. All these cards you see with all the chips you see. I have been in the front of this for 30 years, watching it now roll out. What I'm speaking to you is from experience and relationships. I am watching the world now, right now, let go of their cash. Within the next year, no more cash. Gone. So the only way that you can do it and be the king is hold your digital currency on a hard wallet before they make it illegal to do it, and put it in a foundation, because if they make it illegal for you to hold cryptocurrency on a hard wallet and you don't own it, it's not illegal. If the foundation owns it, it's 100% lawful.
What about gold and silver? Because that was I've been hearing that for a second. Buy gold, buy silver. But for me, when I go and search the web, the interwebs, I'm fearful of trusting. So do you have any tips, any suggestions, any websites?
Yeah, you want to hold the gold and silver in your hands. You don't trust anybody to hold your gold. I mean, I have people like women that don't have safes. They've sent us their gold or silver, and I just get them to itemize it, give me a receipt with a notary of what they have. I agree to it with them, and I put it in a safe for them. But the bottom line, I don't like doing that. I don't want to hold other people's gold or silver. That's not my goal. That's never been my goal, but I'm doing it for friends. Everybody should be out holding their own gold and silver in their own vaults, period. Now, here's the good news. I'm going to give you a link that you're going to sign up for free, and you're going to give your people a link to where they can buy gold and silver at cost and get it into an account on a monthly basis. And what you're going to do is spread this link out to as many people, because it's important people are doing this. And it's important that people, I'm going to put it in the chat for you so you can give everybody your link to get it out. So they're buying gold and silver. And then you can also give them your affiliate link with his advocates. And anytime somebody signs up under his advocates, you'll get a reward. And we'll help them understand crypto. We'll help them understand sovereignty under God as a state citizen. We'll help them understand the foundation elements. Anything that's needed, we can help your team, your people get into a right place.
So this link, wow. We love, that's another round of applause, y'all. He's sharing gems. Get gold at cost. So this is gold. I can put tangible gold.
Not with a 5% ad. You go price it out online for the par value. They're selling it at that.
Wow. Perfect.
Now listen, that's a nugget. Most people have a 5, 10, whatever percent increase in cost. That's a nugget. And all your people can have that same thing.
Absolutely. This is huge. Do you, in the day of ICE, we live in a age and an economy of ICE, and big celebrities, big time people are getting arrested for IRS, tax evasion. For the person fearful, are you fearful? Do you live in fear, Mr. Kelby, about the IRS audits or legal retaliation? None at all.
No. Listen, I've helped tens of thousands of people. Not one has ever received a notice, hey, we're going to do an audit on you. Nobody gets into trouble. Why? We are a threefold cord. We hit them on the revocation, we hit them on the jurisdiction as a state citizen, and we funnel everything through a foundation. There is no bullet that will get through that gun. Okay? They can't fire a thing on our people. Nobody gets in trouble. Period. Number one, the Supreme Court says no obligation to file a tax return. Number two, you're running it through a private foundation. Number three, you've done everything that you needed to do with the IRS to remove the election to pay taxes personally. So you are bulletproof without a doubt. And this is why we do it this way. And everybody walks around with complete and total freedom. All their business, all their personal compensation, run it through a foundation. If they have a job, we structure them up properly through the revocation of election. Their status, because they become a state citizen, changes. They now fill out, instead of a W-4, they fill out a W-8 BEN as a non-resident alien. We change that to state citizen, and there's no obligation to pay taxes. It's a complete exempt on their paycheck stubs.
Love it. I want to ask a question on, are there better states to become a state citizenship? Just like how people always say, oh, open your business in Delaware because of the tax haven, or open your business in Florida because of the tax haven. Is there any benefit or to being a state citizen of any particular state?
It's where you were born,
okay,
or where you were naturalized. So if you were living in New York at the time of your naturalization, that's where you make your allegiance to.
Makes sense. Perfect. And the other thing that comes to mind for me is, what do you say to those people, those naysayers, the negative, right? I'm sure you've come across it.
Yeah.
What do you say to those naysayers who say, oh, you're just doing this to avoid taxes, you're just doing this to not pay taxes? Our president has said, I pay zero taxes himself, and
Yeah, this is a matter of knowing the codes.
absolutely.
This is a matter of knowing the codes. You don't know them, we know them. You don't know the case sites, we know them. Go get yourself the book. What does it mean to be an American on Amazon? You can buy the Kindle version for $2.99 if you can't afford it. And to the naysayers, there's a lot of Christians out there that I remember I had about 8 leadership of a church around me asking me about my position because I did not believe in the position of what they were saying about to be a good Christian, you needed to pay your taxes. They were using a singular scripture about the Caesar, render to Caesar's what is Caesar. And I said, what about Revelations 18? And I went all throughout the Old Testament. I walked them right into an understanding of what it is that we do. But one of the guys said, what would you call yourself, a tax protester? And I said something that I think chartered his future for forever. I said, well, I'd rather be that coined term from Fox News than a baby killer like you, because I don't pay into a system that allows for hospitals and funds hospitals, funds transgender care, funds abortions, like you do. I go, God has called us to come out of that structure, and I am being obedient to God. You are paying into a structure and you can't even attest to where your money goes. I said, I can. Every dollar that I use goes towards something that benefits ministry, benefits God. You can't say that. And it was a very resounding moment. And look, there isn't a single person that's paying taxes that is thinking, oh, I'm doing the right thing. They're not. They are not. We all feel the same gut-wrenching feeling that we're being extorted, we're being hurt. And so just read the book, do with it what you will, but understand something. If you come to our ministry, we've been doing this a long time, and we are above reproach, and we don't have any issues out there. And so that's an important thing. It's because we're taking the Supreme Court. As a matter of fact, they're trying to do everything they can to lead people into the wrong direction of what we do. Like they have created the word national, state national, American national. They even codified it. 8 USC 1101A21, steering people to the United States Code, and then putting gurus out there that make people believe that that's the way. And no, our founders were never nationals, never American nationals, and never U.S. citizens. They were State of the Union citizens. And we unequivocally, probably 70 Supreme Court rulings deal with it here. The law is the law. I'm not violating anything.
What should someone have prior to reaching out to your foundation, reaching out to hisadvocates.org? What should they have prepared? Any documents, anything monetary, what donations? Because currency works. I'm no longer transacting in US federal currency. I'm transacting in gold and silver and fiat currency. What should someone have before seeking out your organization?
Just the willingness to have a conversation. We walk them through. Everything that we do is digitally submitted. Everything that we do is private. I, for 15 years, kept people's information private. And for the first time with this book, I asked some members, heart surgeon, NFL Hall of Famer, just regular people like you and me, to give us a statement as to their experience and what we did to help them. And these people have publicly put their names forward and allowed for me to put them into the book as a recommendation. And they will unequivocally attest to what we have done for their lives, because we have brought them to a completely different level. Just be willing to be open to have a conversation. Get the book. This isn't something you want to jump into. You want to be grounded in what you're doing, and You got to verify and validate. First and foremost, we're not just quoting Supreme Court's opinions. We're quoting a Supreme Court case site that has been shepherdized, meaning it's active law today. Whether it was written in the 1700s, 1819, or this century, it is active law today. You don't get better than that.
Absolutely. This has been an incredible conversation, an amazing conversation, an amazing interview. Sir, you have shared so many nuggets, so many highlights. I just want to say, sir, keep doing what you're doing. You are necessary. We need this. We need this information. We need this insight. And what you're doing is truly, truly phenomenal. I thank you for what you're doing, sir.
Appreciate you. Yeah, and they can hit this barcode right here, and that'll give them a direct link, or they can call that phone number that I posted into the comment section. You can overlay it on the video, whatever. We'll be more than happy to help anybody with the getting free.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is absolutely epic. I want to, if you had one more nugget, you've shared so many nuggets. If you had one more nugget to that young man, that young boy, that young girl who's fearful of the government retaliating. Again, we live with the news. The media has scared everyone to death, including myself. I'm afraid to go outside. What would advice, any words of encouragement that you could give that young man, that young girl, who's feeling like their back's against the wall, there's nothing they can do, they're feeling hopeless today?
Yeah. Every century, every culture, every society, history has a tendency to repeat itself. Whether it was Auschwitz or what have you, you need to look this up. 200 million people have perished to some form of governmental operation over the last 200 years. And when they first started putting people on trains, and I'm saying this because there's a marker that a lot of people are going to not want to do in the next couple of years. And it could be the mark of the beast. It could be something more simple or more dastardly. I just want to say that remember how they started gathering people in the 40s and getting them onto trains. It was a lie. And the representation of come to this, we're going to take you to a place and make you safe. We're going to remove you. It was done, whether you believe in that whole thing in the 40s. It was 40,000 people with 5 guys with guns. In other words, they voluntarily got on the trains, and they voluntarily stayed on the train, and they voluntarily walked into these camps. Whether you want to believe that or not, they voluntarily walked into gas chambers. They voluntarily, to that young kid, learned to say no and stand and trust in God and understand that we have scripture that is there and designed for us to believe in. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear any evil. God has told us over 365 times, do not fear. And if there's any message, no matter what direction you choose in your life, your marriage, your walk, don't fear. Do not fear man. You stand with God at all costs. You stand with your as a leader in your home, and you stand for God and do what is right, and be willing to die for your family and be willing to die for your faith. But God's given us this provision that we don't have to. Watch what happens to this generation of people that believe and trust and come out of her, my people. Watch.
All right, y'all. We are unfortunately out of time. We got to let this incredible man go. But, sir, I want to say again, thank you for what you do. You are necessary. Thank you for being here. We got to let him go. We got to let him go, y'all. Y'all, get the book. Get the book. Information. This is information. This is knowledge. This is wisdom. This is insight. This is 15 to 30 years in the making of data. So read, learn, educate yourself, and make a wise decision for your household and do what's best for your household in the name of God. Absolutely. Like we end every show, take care of your friends, take care of your family, and always, always take care of business. This is Marcus, your favorite gentleman, and Mr. Kelby Smith of hisadvocates.org signing off. Love you guys. Bye.
Thank you, brother.